guys. So this week we watched Netflix's newest movie, The Pale Blue Eye, directed by Scott Cooper, starring Christian Bale, Harry Melling, Harry Smelling, Robert Duvall.
Dude, that's what happened. Funny.
Okay, quick story. So I was actually typing in all that information and stuff, and I put in Harry Melling, and it autocorrected to Smelling. I was just like, dang.
It shouldn't be fucking funny, but it is, dog.
All right, a little quick synopsis. So, veteran detective Augustus Landor investigates a series of grisly murders with the help of a young cadet who will eventually go on to become the world-famous author, Edgar Allan Poe, which is honestly the least of his worries. Where do we want to start with this movie, lads? This ain't going to be too long. Doesn't seem like, but...
Liking this resurgent of mystery movies. I feel like for a while there was just absolutely none of them, but there have been some gems in here.
And they're actually
mystery.
In regards to the actual mystery, they're actually pretty solid as of late.
They've had some solid twists in here.
Exactly, which we'll discuss later. But any general thoughts? Non-spoiler.
The mystery was kind of interesting. Everything else was kind of boring.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so I started watching this movie in the PlayStation party so they could hear my thoughts like as it was happening. Anthony, after you left, you know the cadet that they have in here? I looked at him and I didn't describe who it was or anything. The first thing I said is, why does he look familiar? What's he in? And then Noah just without hesitation was like, oh, it's the guy from Harry Potter and the Old Guard. Didn't know who the fuck I was talking about. He just knew.
That's funny.
He's just one of those actors.
The movie I was actually thinking of him in, though, was The Devil All the Time, because whenever I saw him and the way he was talking, it just reminded me of the way he played the priest in that movie.
What is that too?
That was the one with Alexander Skarsgård, I think.
No time for dilly-dallying now. No time for dilly-dallying.
Oh, Tom Holland.
Yeah, that was the movie that I shit-talked because I hated it.
And
it sucked.
Robert Pattinson?
Yes, exactly. I will say, this movie really does capture like that gothic time period feel.
It did do it really well.
The atmosphere, and then like especially with like the writing and the acting. Like I'm not complaining about all that. I'm more complaining about like if I had to pick a con, it is very dull. There's a little like musical score at all, and there's some points where I just really didn't care for the story.
I concur, Mr. Watson.
I also agree, and I y'all are gonna hate me, but I'm not a fan of Christian Bale.
Really?
I don't know. I don't really like the way he acts.
In what movies? Because he's different in every single one.
Like all of the movies.
He's
so you don't
can
like
be a method actor.
I don't know what I don't like about him. He just throws me off.
he just rubs me the wrong way. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, like I said, with the period piece stuff, like the costume design was great. Like it's not about all that. It's more so just kind of the story. It's more so in the first half of the movie too.
I would say the first like 2/3. The last third is where it all kind of ramps up.
And like you can definitely feel it's in that time because it does explore a lot of different thematic stuff throughout that period, or like just different events going on during that time.
This one, they took the mystery aspect and then they added so much side extraneous shit that made it not interesting. Like it made it hard to follow. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, when they revealed everything, there's a lot of stuff that they didn't include in like the twist. So a lot of it was just extraneous details that we didn't need, that was just there to make the world feel full for a movie that's just going to be a one-off. So it didn't matter if the world felt full or not.
The twists were a little expected.
I don't think so. Not the second one.
Yeah, not the second one.
I guess
not the big one. Okay. Smarty pants.
And no, I never get twists. Like, it's always Noah that's like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I'm always the sucker for the movies that falls for everything. But I feel like this one was very...
Well, the first one was
laid out.
obvious. I don't think the second one was obvious at all.
It was for Anthony. We
I don't know which one you're talking about.
can talk about that. In
The big one at the end.
I feel like they're both pretty big, but...
Well, the one at the very, very end.
Gotcha.
I'll clarify too. It's a little bit too long, and it's not like a hard watch. It's just can be a little boring at times, a little lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those watches where you have to be wide awake when you start it, otherwise you will fall asleep halfway through.
Yes, I agree. But that's all I got to say for one of Netflix's new films. We recommend?
Honestly, no. It's not worth the time.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
I think if you haven't seen Glass Onion, I would say watch Glass Onion and don't waste your time with this one.
Glass Onion is so good.
So, assuming you're not going to watch, y'all can be in the spoiler review that we're starting right now.
My favorite part was whenever they started quoting the Telltale Heart before it was even written. That was kind of sick.
My boy Edgar Allan was on something, though, dude.
He was on some crack, dude.
No,
He was the best part of the movie, honestly.
He was.
He was awesome.
He was like, anytime he was on screen, I was like, fuck yeah, I get to see some awkward little white guy spitting some game.
The dude from Harry Potter? No,
Dude,
but...
I'm telling you, none of those roles clicked with me except for the devil all the time one. So I just imagine him being that pastor again.
You're like, oh
preaching.
yeah, the pastor.
You just got one of those faces. It's very punchable. I like seeing
What?
him get beat up. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Okay, but so the con I wanted to mention was I feel like at least with the first twist, it just didn't feel very rewarding. You already know it's at a time where there's like witches and stuff, so it's kind of boring that it was just another witch hunt,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I thought it was a cheap, like a cop out. They're like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how to explain why they're doing this. We'll just go with the witches.
Yeah, it's actually it's just a witch.
I don't know. Not overwhelming, but there's just like... It's not that there's a lot going on, but they're just... The things that were going on, I feel like were separate from each other. It was like trying to tell two different things, which I guess is part of the mystery, but I think that's part of what threw me off.
I do.
You got
I
Hornswoggle.
agree. I do think though, if that second twist hadn't come, it would have been pretty bad.
Yeah. If they didn't include like the last 10 minutes of the movie, it would have just been shit.
But it just made it seem like there's just all these different things that were kind of unrelated in a way that they're trying to force to be related.
That's why it didn't feel very rewarding or satisfying at all, because it's like they did that, and then they're like, okay, it's that witch, and then the guy, and then Christian Bale's character is like, all right, well, I'm done. I was just like, what? That's it?
It's time to sleep now. I can rest.
I can rest.
Grateful universe.
However, that wasn't the twist, and that was my pro. Actually, I really, really like the last twist because it makes it makes it pretty
I didn't
different.
even get to say my con, motherfucker.
Okay, go.
Slow the fuck down. Jesus Christ.
Okay, go.
Bitch. All right, go.
Bruh.
What?
I'm just kidding. My con was how much dead space there was in the audio. Usually, some bird noises or some footsteps or some people talking in the background. This entire movie, if there was no one talking in the scene, it was just awkward silence. There's no music. There was absolutely nothing going on. There wasn't birds, nature sounds, running rivers. It was literally just dead silence and the actors talking. And that's what made it boring as shit, because there was nothing stimulating your senses. It was not Five Gum.
I agree.
It was not Five Gum. Well, yeah, they didn't have that back then, did they?
Well, no wonder.
Imagine giving five gum to Edgar Allan Poe. Dude, be on something else.
It stimulated my senses so that I may murder someone. But I didn't, I swear. On the Queen, I did not.
With the telltale heart.
The heart was beating faster than my heart after I experienced my first strip of 5 gum.
He'd literally be stimulating his senses and writing the craziest poems known to man.
That would be like his cocaine. Instead of like doing drugs or getting drunk to get inspiration, he just pops a little strip of 5 gum and just has a fucking brain blast.
Stimulate your senses.
His pupils dilate and he just jots the most of the deepest shit on a piece of paper you've ever seen.
That's what he did after he solved the murder. He went to go write down everything. No, but that's also what I want to get to in the pros. I actually like the twist. I think it makes it way different.
What's the twist, Noah?
I think that the detective was actually the one that killed, and he was just trying to solve his own case to cover it up.
Some 5 brain shit.
Big brain. Because, well, we don't see that. The point of, like, because the detective's always a protagonist, and we always, like, you know, that's the guy you trust the most, you know?
Right.
This movie said, nah, actually, he did it. He's the one that did all of it.
And I like that Edgar Allan Poe's the one that found out about it, too. Like,
yeah.
in full circle.
Shows how smart he is, especially how they met and stuff. It does go full circle. Although, I thought it was, like, also crazy about his like daughter committing suicide and stuff. Everything happened to her was like terrible. But like after he finally like avenged her and went back, I had nothing left to live for. And so like he killed himself too, which I thought was crazy.
I respect the shit out of the writers for doing that.
And that was probably one of my favorite scenes was when the confrontation between Edgar and Landor.
The last thing you talked about was him killing himself, and then you're like, that was probably my favorite scene.
No, I'm talking about just the whole dialogue and stuff in that scene.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was pretty heartfelt too, because you could tell like the relationship they developed throughout the movie that Edgar did not want to be there doing that. It's like, man, come on.
He trusted him in a way, kind of like family.
You could say they were like brothers.
Or family.
You're like a brother, Alan.
With his the little heart attached. Anyways, any more pros?
Nope.
The acting in here was phenomenal. I will say
it
that.
Really was.
Like,
yes, it's not their fault.
There wasn't a single character that like pulled me out of the story. Everything was there. I guess it helps that you get a bunch of fucking English people to act like Englishmen, but
yeah, that would fit the narrative.
But you know, it was good. The acting is solid.
Short episode this week because there wasn't much to say about this movie, but
it's one of those movies. It's okay though. It's okay.
It was kind of shite, not gonna lie.
Oi, blow. What are we rating it, boys?
What I give the movie last week?
A 6?
6? Yeah, this one's a 7.
Really?
What was the movie last week?
Megan.
I didn't like Megan though. I didn't like it as much as y'all did.
That's fair. I was gonna give this movie a 6.
Yeah. I give it a 6.5. It's not that much better than Megan. I'd put him in the same.
They're 2 different movies too.
5.
You what?
I was originally going to give it a 5.
That's fine. So was I until we talked.
I'll give it a 6 too. Just because of the multiple twists in the movie.
I will say if the ending didn't happen, it'd probably be like a 5.
Dude, if the ending didn't happen, it would be a 3. It wasted my fucking time for a 2-hour movie when I knew who the killer was in the first 10 minutes.
Generic plot line. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And I wouldn't necessarily say Netflix got another hit, but they got a solid movie.
There's a coroner with a rope in the forest.
Can you imagine? Crazy. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. We have all of our links in our description if you're on YouTube or literally any of the podcast platforms. We should have all our links. Make sure you check out our merch on merch.streamelements.com/the Hooligan Hangout. All our social media down there. And say hi to your mom for us, and we'll see you next week.
Red